So my name is Avery Simpson, and my sole identity variable was animals. So I'm gonna guess that the majority of you guys have or have had a pet. So that's kind of the main focus of my presentation, like that kind of like relationship with animals. But other ones I wanted to address are things like wildlife, like if you are into fishing or anything else that deals with wildlife, or if you work at a zoo. Those are other examples of how you can be involved with animals that might affect your identity. So the first point I wanted to touch on was service animals, specifically service dogs. So I never have personally had a service dog, so I can't exactly speak from personal experience, but I did watch a lot of videos and like do a lot of research on it, so I think I have a pretty good idea of the relationship that forms between a service dog and their handler. So the ADA is an organization, so it stands for the National Society of Americans with Disabilities Act, and they basically just raise awareness on different disabilities, and they have like a whole page on like service animals and like all the rights and all the laws that go along with it in like public places and all that kind of stuff. So a service animal, quote, is any dog that is individually trained to do work or perform tasks that benefit an individual with a disability, including a physical, sensory, psychiatric, intellectual, or other mental disability, end quote. And that was from the ADA on service dogs. So basically, I wanted to talk about how the relationship kind of forms between a person and a service dog. And service dogs are never the first answer for a disability. You want to try other things first, basically. But service dogs can be really helpful for people because they can kind of be like, obviously if you have a disability, sometimes that can be not such a positive thing, but a lot of research that I saw showed that service dogs can be more like of a positive side of a disability, because when someone sees like a cute dog, obviously that's a positive conversation starter. So it kind of takes the focus off of the person's disability and more on their excuse me, on their animal. So Robert Clinton Sanders, he wrote a research paper on identity and how service dogs affect that, and he was also kind of talking about how interactions with service animals bring out the best in people, and kind of like, I feel like when you see a service dog, it's like it brings out a social interaction that's more positive rather than negative. There also can be feelings of isolation that comes with disability, and service dogs can provide a sense of companionship for people, which is really important. And that kind of moves into my point about like pets. So one great thing about pets is the relationship between the owner and their pet can create kind of a bond that you obviously don't feel with people. And I think that's part of how animals affect our identity is animals kind of just love everybody usually, especially like pets, and I feel like that's an important thing. I think that animals, so we can also, one thing is Lacey Y. Boston with Minnesota State University, she explained how her relationship with her dog was kind of like she was the dog's mom. So she always referred to herself as like the dog's mom. She's just like, come sit with mom, you know, kind of dorky, but like that's a real thing. Like you can even like see shirts that say like dog mom and stuff. And I think that's because when you have animals, they kind of become family. And I think that's one really important point. I think you all have even probably seen videos of like animals that we don't usually think of as like pets or domesticated, like tigers and stuff like that. When they're reunited with the people that they grew up with, they're like really like happy and like not dangerous. I also talked about how animal-human ties can be kind of negative. So a group of professionals working with forensics did a paper on kind of the forensics behind dog attacks, and they said, quote, the interaction between domestic animals and humans has not been free of conflicts, and dog attacks represent a real problem, end quote. And so I think this is one important thing to focus on because the ties between animals and humans aren't always positive, especially non-domesticated animals. And I think that can really affect their identity, and the reason why is I have a boxer dog. And one of my friends, the first time I like showed him my dog, he was like, "Oh, I hate boxers." And I was like, "How could you hate such like a cute and like lovable breed? Like they're so sweet and friendly." And he was like, "Well, when I was younger, one attacked me." So that's like that was years and years and years ago, but that still affects him today and has still put this stigma in his brain of like what a boxer dog is. So that's one way that it also affects our identity. I think relationships with animals can kind of form positive or negatively. And that kind of just can shape us into who we are in smaller ways, such as just seeing the relationship between you and an animal. I think that can be a sense of like comfort. I think it can be a sense of companionship. And yeah.